Hello, my name is Randall. Thank you for listening. What I needed to talk about is the Moody Bible Institute in an email I sent them and their reply. But before I read what we wrote each other, I want something clear. My letter to them may at first seem to be a defense of Miley Cyrus, but the core of my letter to them is that they made unbiblical and unchristian comments about another Christian, and what they said had no place on a radio station devoted to the Bible. Their email is as follows. This letter I wrote to them Thursday, May 1st, 2008 at 10:55 a.m. I was disappointed by you this morning when I heard you talking about Miley Cyrus and her recent picture. Your station was the one place I thought wouldn't say things like that. When I heard you implying that she was a skank, my heart sunk. This girl is a Christian and therefore your sister in Christ, and you guys were making fun of her being embarrassed. I want you to consider what if you and her family went to the same church. Would you have said the same things if you would have to face them this Sunday? She is your sister in Christ. You should be praying for her, not insulting her. I know a lot of you have children, and I have to ask, how would you feel if someone said that stuff about your daughter? I know she's a role model to children, and that's why you brought it up. But I can't help asking myself, if you did this to a 15-year-old girl, how quickly would you turn against me if I made a mistake? All of you are mean to an already upset person. With all due respect, Randall. P.S. John 13:34. A new commandment I give to you. Love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. John 13:35. By this all men will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. Romans 12:10. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Honor one another above yourselves. This is the first reply they sent me. Randall, thank you for the email. When you heard skank, you were hearing a quote from Miley herself. This is how she described the photos after she felt regret for posing in Vanity Fair. This was not the words of Mark or Dave or Julie, as they would certainly never say something like this about a sister in Christ. Thanks again, and thank you for listening to the morning show. God bless. This is the second letter I sent them. It includes no words of my own. I quoted exactly what Miley said, and I quoted exactly what they said, and the reason I wrote them in the first place. Miley said, I took part in a photo shoot that was supposed to be artistic, and now seeing the photographs and reading the story, I feel so embarrassed. I think it's really artsy, she told the magazine at the time. It wasn't in a skanky way. Annie took like a beautiful shot, and I thought that was really cool. That's what she wanted me to do, and you can't say no to Annie. The people at Moody Radio said, skanky is as skanky does. This is their second reply to me. Randall, I submit you are closer to Niceanity than Christianity. Sometimes the call should be made as it is. We intended no harm, but a challenge to poor judgment. This is my third letter to them. Regardless of my level of kindness, compared to your willingness to insult people you never met, you are now implying that I am not a Christian in your own way. Also, you are admitting to having said something that your people claim was never said. You have a liar replying to messages sent by people whose opinion you consider worthless. This self-righteous attitude is unacceptable, and you obviously have no doubts about your judgments of people you never met. I've never known kindness to be a weakness. I don't understand why you feel a need to make fun of me. This is their third reply to me. Actually, I did not make the comments you said. Dave did. But nonetheless, it was a clear statement that a girl who makes a statement using a word that could actually characterize her behavior was simply called on that. So there is no admission of wrongdoing. As a second point, challenging a point of view on the basis of whether it is nice or truly Christian, which is ironically what you call this into account for, is simply a disagreement over approach, not an insult. I regret you have taken it that way. That was not what was intended. After that last letter they sent me, I wrote a letter that was unclear, and they didn't respond. So I wrote back this letter. I reread your last statement and the new one I sent you, and I realized I was unclear. First of all, I said nothing of admission of guilt. on your part, only that in your first reply you said, when you heard skank, you were hearing a quote from Miley herself. What I take that to mean is that your people never said, skanky is as skanky does. Skank, a slang word, a person and especially a woman of low or sleazy character, which the girl never said of herself. I have no objection to anyone talking about it, but I ask, would you have said that to her face? Second of all, then you said, I was closer to Christianity than Christianity. That can only be understood as either you think I'm some kind of legalist or faking Christianity, both an insult. Whether or not you meant to insult me, I'm insulted. You may think that by some of the things I wrote that I'm looking for a fight, but no, I only want to be taken seriously, like you. With all due respect, Randall. P.S. Ephesians 4:29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building up others according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. This is their fourth letter to me. Thanks. After that last reply from them, they would not respond to my letters, and later blocked my emails altogether. But that's not the end. A week or so later, I received a letter from them, and they were requesting money from me so that they could fulfill a matching grant, in which they would receive $500,000 if their listeners donated just as much. They requested this money even though they already this year raised $2 million. They said the $2 million was enough to last them until next year. I wrote them back a handwritten letter, which I regretfully didn't make a copy of, but I do have the notes my letter was based on, and I'll read a little from that. I wrote them that I believed that they think of Jesus as a product they can sell to people, and that they are now controlled by money, and that they have no love. Their theology is biblically correct, but as Paul said, if I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. I ended my letter by telling them I wanted back the money I donated to them. I asked for it back because I believe they're using it incorrectly. If anyone wants to read the email themselves, then email me your request. I give out the letter freely. And thank you for listening. Also, though, I wanted to add one more thing. After I sent the first email, they sent me a music CD. After I sent them the handwritten letter, they sent me a book. I believe Moody Radio is trying to buy me off so that I stop saying things against them. I don't think they like hearing the truth.